Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Vikings training camp is underway. Gophers training camp is underway. The Olympics in Paris, Snoop Dogg. I mean, it's so much we could talk about, but we have to talk about the NFL top division. There's something about the NFC North that I've been hearing a lot of people say. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, people, it's Ron Johnson. I'm excited to have you here today with us. If you're looking at YouTube, if you're tuning in on YouTube, appreciate you. Please tell a friend that we are here, the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. We're going to have some great guests coming up this summer as well as heading into this fall. We've already talked to Max Brosmer, Gophers quarterback, new quarterback, so he's going to join us at some point. Brian O'Neill is going to join us, and we're going to get a couple Vikings, whether they're rookies or new guys. We've got a couple names on the list. Please stay tuned for those because those interviews are coming. And then, of course, we got to get Daniel Jackson, Gophers star wide receiver. You know, I love to talk to the receivers. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the Ron Johnson Show as we're going to have a lot of great guests coming up this fall. I mean, it's football season. What else are we going to talk about but football? We're not going to talk hockey. We're not going to talk baseball. I mean, we'll talk about it because Sam loves hockey. We know that. We're going to make sure we get a lot of football guests on here for you guys to digest. So today's show, though, training camp has started. Now, you're seeing all the stories, the videos all around the league, and the Vikings training camp has started as well. So before I get my producer, Sam Ekstrom, in here to discuss what's going on at training camp, that's why I got my Vikings shirt on. Today is a Vikings day for me. I'm out at training camp today. I'm going to be shooting content over with the Minnesota Vikings today. So I'm excited to do that. But I want everybody to know, before we get started, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Just make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But you know what? The summer is here. Training camp is here. There's a lot of prop bets. There's a lot of NFC North champs, early NFC North champs. You can pick, will the 49ers win 11 plus games over under? Will the Lions win 10 plus games over under? You can make all those bets. But before you do that, remember, you can get a boost or a bonus for every single customer daily. That's right. Every single day, there's something for everyone. Every day, all summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Also, I want everybody to know you can find us on Roku, Amazon Fire, SX, the XM Sirius Radio app. You can also get us wherever you get your podcasts. Well, as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom. Sam, there's a lot of stuff going on this offseason. Tua got paid. Jordan Love got paid. Everybody, and now Dak wants to get paid, but then they can't pay Dak and pay CeeDee Lamb. And we've already discussed that, how Stephen Jones, the Cowboys vice president, threw the Vikings under the bus, like, oh, they don't have a quarterback, so that's why they can pay Justin Jefferson $35 million. We have Dak, so we can't pay. Do you have Dak? Is Dak really better than Sam Darnold? Is he going to be better than JJ McCarthy? And so it's funny. Woodward Sports, they're out of Detroit. They were they took somebody's video and they made a TikTok about one of JJ McCarthy's passes and put fire emojis up there. He's from Michigan. It's a Michigan deal. Maybe we'll get Braylon Edwards in here at some point to talk about JJ McCarthy and what he saw in Michigan. That's his Michiganian. They both were Wolverines. And JJ throws an interception. And so, of course, it's a joke by the Detroit, TikTok people, like, oh, JJ McCarthy's in rare form now. Look at him throwing a pick. Well, it's one, it's training camp. Two, the DB, he was sitting on it, and this is a young guy learning. The game's moving fast. Four, how many times has Harbaugh asked him to do that? So Kevin O'Connell has a guy that can make the pass, make the throws. Like, they don't want to show the good throws. You just want to show the one bad one. So it's interesting. But when you look at the situation across the league, if we were to rank the NFC North quarterbacks, and you look at the Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. Packers, okay, Jordan Love. Lions, Jared Goff. Both of their quarterbacks getting absolute money. And then you have Caleb Williams with the Bears. And then I guess you would have the Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy sandwich, or whatever you want to call it, with Kevin O'Connell in the middle.
So the QBs are the bread and the coaches.
He's the meat. He's the meat because he's the reason why they're going to be what they're going to be, but they're the bookends that keep him together. And so when you look at those situations, if I just had to throw out a quick ranking, and I'm going to do this, I think the Lions right now, Jared Goff, have the best situation quarterback. Like I think they have the best quarterback. They have the best weapons as far as between the Packers. Sorry, not better than the Vikings, but looking at the between the Packers, because if you have to go Packers Lions, because those two are veteran quarterbacks, you have to give it to them. And they're the guys that made it happen. They're the guys getting paid a lot of money. I have to give it to the Lions. I think the Lions have better weapons than the Packers. I think the Lions have a better quarterback than the Packers. And now Jordan Love is good. I'm not saying he's not good. And I've seen a lot of video breaking down his throw. It looks just like Brett Favre, which looked just like Aaron Rodgers, which now looks like Jordan Love. Same release point, same type of motion when they're throwing some of the tough throws, same type of release point when they're on the move. But when you look at Caleb Williams and then you look at Sam Darnold, I think that's the question mark. Honestly, I don't know who's third and who's fourth. I really don't, because Caleb Williams is making a lot of great throws, athletic throws without pads on. We know that. He can do that. That was the reason why he was number one. That was the reason why he garnered so much attention. But then if you go to some of those USC games, he had great moments, and then he had his low lights. And he had his moments where you're like, man, what are you doing? But then he had some throws where you're like, oh, my goodness, this is the first round pick. Yep, give it to him. I don't know what you're going to get out of Sam Darnold. We don't know how long Sam Darnold's going to play, and is J.J. McCarthy coming in? Like, we don't know. That the Vikings are the great unknown right now. From known, I'm going to have to put the Vikings fourth. I do. I think it's a tight fourth. There's like 3A, 3B, Vikings, Bears first, then Vikings. But Sam Darnold, we just don't know what you're going to get out of him. Like, it's hard to put him in front of the number one unanimous overall pick in Caleb Williams, because we know what he was in college. We know what Sam Darnold was years ago when he was the third pick overall out of UCLA. Was it UCLA or USC? UCLA. But we don't know what he is now. And I think that's the question is, Kevin O'Connell made Josh Dobbs look good. He made Nick Mullins look okay. He made Kirk Cousins look great. What can he do with Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold with the 49ers, quote unquote, was technically like he was the reason why I think Trey Lance was out of there. Like he made another first round pick who was supposed to be a star of a team, got him out of there. And so you look at, him with the Jets, should have been good. Coach had no idea what he was doing with that team. That's why that staff got fired. So I have to put the Vikings like 3B to the Bears 3A. And then I'd say Jared Goff, Jordan Love. That's right off the top. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, and by the way, Darnold went to USC. I checked USC. On that. I think you're probably correct in terms of 2024. I think that the Lions have a better situation than the Packers. The Packers just paid a guy record money, and they saw him play good football for about half a season. He was great in the playoff game they won, threw a really backbreaking interception in the playoff game they lost. I don't know if they know who they paid. I don't know if I love being in the Packers' shoes right now. But Ron, I want you to fast forward 4 years. So let's go to the end of the contract for Jared Goff and Jordan Love. They both signed 4-year deals. So you're paying them 55, 51, massive money 4 years from now. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, they're still in their rookie deal. Like, if you take that into account, all the money that the Vikings and Bears will have to allocate to other positions, how do you like that 4 years from now? Do you think overall the situation could be better for the Vikings and Bears?
Shoot. So I'm thinking just Vikings and Bears, right, in this situation?
Compared to the Packers and Lions,
in a
who
couple
are
years.
paying these guys $50+ million a year.
Yeah.
Do you like being in the situation with the rookie QB in 4 years?
Think
of all the team building you could do in that time.
I was going to say, because of how the Chiefs did it, because of how the Eagles were able to do it, and then of course the Eagles eventually had to pay Jalen Hurts, and now the Chiefs had to pay Mahomes a lot. But Mahomes, it was so funny as Mahomes took a pay cut, but he's still over $25 million. Like, yes, he took a pay cut because it was $450 million for like 10 years. So it's $45 million. And then a lot of people are like, oh my God, like that's such a hometown discount. Dude, that's $450 million. Like, guaranteed. Like he could Bobby Bonilla the thing and not play. And they're like, well, we guaranteed it, so we owe him the money, even though we can spread it out over 10 years. Dude could be on the PUP and just be on our roster for a couple years and not even play. We still have to pay him. I'm pretty sure but $450, like $450. And I think 200 of us was guaranteed at signing. Like, come on. Like, so I do like that situation though. I like the way the Chiefs, I like the way that they did it too. Even the Rams almost had it. Like the Rams were this close. The Rams Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl. He was there under a rookie deal. He almost got it done. So I do like that idea of being able to build around JJ McCarthy, to be able to sign guys, to be able to get some more weapons in here. When you look at the defensive back room, I do feel like in the next year or two, they're probably going to have to go after a top DB, depending on how Byron Murphy turns out. You know, we'll talk about this, but the Vikings did sign Bobby McCain. We'll talk about that in the second segment. But, you know, when you look at the signings and everything going around, they're probably going to spend money there. The one thing that everybody always said about the Vikings was they were hamstringed by Kirk Cousins' contract. Now, we do know the salary cap continues to go up. Numbers continue to high as the owners look at 18 games, maybe 20 games eventually. The thought is more weeks, higher pay, higher salary cap, more players on the roster, because they're like, hey, why are we still at 56 guys and 49 are dressing? That makes no sense. They're all on the team. Like, I love what Pierce did with the Raiders. You know, he's like, man, just because you're not elevated to play, you can still dress. You know, practice squad, just because you're in a practice squad doesn't mean you can't dress and be on the sideline so your family can see you. You know, you guys practice with us all week. You guys get us ready for the games, and we're going to tell you to wear some clothes and go sit in the suite. No, he wanted those guys on the sideline. He wanted those guys in uniform if they wanted to be. He wanted that sideline to be rocking, and it worked. Like, those guys bought into him. They felt like, now I don't know how long that's going to work. That's like this Dan Campbell thing. Like, I think I'm glad he got rid of the kneecap stuff, because his coaching is actually working. It seems like it's a long-term thing, and the players bought into it of the hard nose, what he is. But when you think about being able to build around a guy like JJ McCarthy or Caleb Williams, I will say yes. Now, the one thing about Caleb Williams, though, so between the two, Vikings and Bears versus, I do like their situation. I also like the Vikings over the Bears, because Caleb Williams is already trying to be an LLC and asking the Bears to pay him as an LLC so he can find tax breaks. He is going to come up with something in a couple of years, in like 2 years, to be like, well, like, I threw for 4,000 yards, man. Y'all owe me more money. Like, I'm not playing on this rookie deal. Like, I can see them ending up in this situation with him in 2 years if he does well. I don't see JJ McCarthy being that kid. Like, if JJ McCarthy all of a sudden gets Justin Jefferson to 2,000 yards, TJ Hawkinson has 1,000 yards, Jordan Addison has 1,000 yards, you know, Jalen Naylor has 500 yards, Brandon Powell has 400 yards, and he's knocking on that 5,000 yard thing, but he's gotten JJ to 2. I don't see him being like, hey man, I got through for 5,000 yards. Y'all got to pay me. I don't see him being that guy. I do see Kevin O'Connell getting him there, but I don't see him being that guy. So I do like, of the two, personality wise, business wise, I like the Viking situation. But yeah, having to pay Jordan. The thing about Jordan Love now is the Packers are going to be where the Vikings were. And the Vikings are in a better situation with Kirk because they got a chance to draft Justin Jefferson. I don't think the Packers have that. Like, they don't have a Justin Jefferson. And that's going to be their problem. Defensively, I think they have some guys. I know they added some pieces, but they don't have a Justin Jefferson. So where are they going to get that type of production for Jordan Love? Can Jordan Love create it the way Aaron Rodgers did with Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson? I don't know. The Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown and they have Jared Goff, so I think they're in a little bit better situation. And that's why I kind of ranked them the way. But yeah, in a couple years, give me the rookie quarterback who's really good and I can build around him all day.
Yeah, I'm excited about this path that the Vikings are on. I mean, the amount of cap space they have next year, when JJ McCarthy will have had a year to either play a little bit or sit behind Darnold, whatever it might be. He'll have that year under his belt. Vikings go into the offseason with ample cap space. Surround him with a great defense. Go and buy some pieces. Load up on cornerbacks. Do what you have to do. Offense is already in pretty good shape. Don't have to do a lot there. I think that the second year of McCarthy's rookie deal, the third year of McCarthy's rookie deal, the fourth year of McCarthy's rookie deal could all be really, really promising years for the Vikings. And I think the Bears probably feel the same way. I mean, they're starting to really build their roster up too. So I like both situations. And here's the thing, Ron, with Goff and Love, I think we've seen their ceiling. We've also seen those quarterbacks floor. Like, it's pretty low. We've seen bad Goff. We've seen bad Jordan Love. I think they paid two guys that are not in the top 10 of the league's quarterbacks over $50 million per year. I mean, that could put you in a bad spot as a franchise. That's arguably what the Vikings did with Kirk Cousins. You can argue where he ranked. But I think that the Vikings, if McCarthy hits at all, like if he turns out to be the guy they hope, they could be sitting in a really, really wonderful spot compared to the teams in their division.
Yeah, and that's the key, is can he hit? Like that's what we're gonna have to wait for. I don't think we're gonna see that this year. Training camp this year for him already, I can see it's like, yeah, this is a building year. This is a year to learn and grow. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. Look at how Mahomes was able to sit back, learn and grow. Imagine if RG3 got to sit back for a year. Like if they decided to say, hey, let's play this Kirk Cousins guy. Let's save our overall number one pick and put Kirk Cousins in and let him play and let him let Rob. Now that's stupid because they both were rookies. And so there's no way we could have known Kirk Cousins was going to be as good as he's going to be, or there's no way to know RG3 was going to get hurt. But it would have been nice to have, like back then, if they could have, who knows, like somebody else to come in and be a veteran for him to be able to sit there and learn under a veteran quarterback and let RG3 sit for a little bit at least instead of just being thrown. Like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck retired after 7 years. I mean, look how much he got beat up his rookie year. Not to say he wasn't good enough to do it. It was just that he didn't know some of the stuff he didn't know, which is throw the ball away, check it off if this front doesn't fit, and you're gonna get sacked. Like he was getting beat up, and that's why his body was like, look, all right, we're done, man. Like my body hurts. I'm getting killed out here by this offensive line. But there's certain things that veterans are able to do. Think about how often Peyton Manning and Eli Manning never got touched. I mean, we joked about that when they played the Giants, and I remember thinking like, you don't sack Eli Manning. Because he's going to throw the ball on the ground. The minute he sees 3 or 4 guys, he's not running around. He's not trying to make a play like Caleb Williams. He's getting rid of the ball. And that's why I think Caleb Williams is going to be in for a rude awakening, because in college, you can spin out, you can run it. In the NFL, like Josh Metellus is similar speed to you. Whereas in college, some of these linebackers are not. Ivan Pace might be faster than Caleb Williams. Blake Cashman is quick. Your Dallas Turner is quick. Or just as fast, like college, you're playing against Utah State. You're not facing linebackers running 4.5, 4.4. You're facing some guys that aren't going to make it to the league. Now you're with the best of the best coming after you game after game. Jamal Adams and all these safeties that like to blitz and all this, like these different fronts and mad scientists, DB coaches and coordinators. I don't know if that's going to work for him. And that's why, for him, he needs to learn. You don't always need to make the play and run around and take that big hit. And that's what the veterans, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, like a lot of those guys, like Drew Brees, after he got hurt, he realized like, hey man, I'm not doing this no more. I'm getting rid of the ball. But I remember playing the Giants and thinking like, there's no way the Vikings are going to sack him, because he's going to throw the ball in the ground the minute he sees trouble. And that's what Eli Manning did towards the end of his career. Like those last probably 6-7 years, he was just throwing the ball into the ground. The minute the blocking scheme was breached, even if they had no chance, he still could have got rid of the ball. He's throwing it in the ground. Don't touch me. Don't hit me. I don't want to be hit. But so that'd be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years with these quarterbacks, because they're all younger, I guess. And so that's what's funny. In the Pale of the Tees, I was watching Dan Orlovsky, and that's the reason the 49ers, they asked the 49ers, he'd asked him over under 11.5 wins. And he said, well, the 49ers play the NFC North this year, and the NFC North is going to be one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. And of course, he's probably quarterback driven in this conversation, thought behind that. But he said it's going to be one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, and the 49ers have to play the NFC North. Early on, I didn't realize this. They have a lot of guys that kind of holding out or, contract wise. So that could actually be well for the Vikings to get them early, because they're going to be coming off some turmoil. Guys maybe not even play by then. Some holdouts, some pettiness around money. So maybe getting them early is better than getting them, Debo coming off an injury from last year. Is he going to be 100% ready to go? That'll be very interesting to see how this happens. But Christian McCaffrey's healthy. He's going to be even healthier now that he's married, because that means he's going nowhere. He's at home after every practice. that when you look at CJ Ham, Adam Thielen, and all these married guys and how they take care of their bodies, why? Because they're home. They don't go anywhere. They're not out late and getting tired. They're the guys that know, okay, yep, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going home. Like, I'm not playing ping pong. I'm not sitting up to 2 a.m. playing video games with y'all. I'm going home. I'm not sitting in the hotel all day. And so that's got to be, when you think about Christian McCaffrey, I think that's the one thing that's probably going to do well for him is he's going home now. He's like, yep, I'm out of here. I'm done. And so the 49ers, 11.5 over under, they do have, and so they're saying the NFC North is one of the toughest. And I guarantee it's because of that. But speaking of getting the NFC North tougher, Minnesota Vikings have had a lot of issues. We know that injuries to DBs. They lost what's his name, Blackman, Shaq Griffin. Soft tissue injury is what they're calling it. So they did sign Bobby McCain, and so with the soft injury tissue of Shaq Griffin, which means hopefully calf, whatever it might be, strain, he should be back hopefully by week 1 of the season. But you never want to rush those because they might feel good until you go push off really hard again, and then you're going to tweak it. So he's going to be out for a while. I think last year Andrew Booth Jr. had the same thing with his hamstring, where he had to be out for a little bit. So they brought in Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain played with Brian Flores. He did a lot of good things in this league for 9 years. So we're going to talk about that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show after a word from our sponsors.
Today's show presented by FanDuel. Ron loves sports. I love sports. We love them so much. We love the Olympics, and there's not a whole lot else going on. We got Major League Baseball. We got Olympics. And fortunately, FanDuel is feeding you all the lines for all the events in the Olympics. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So I'm looking at Team USA men's basketball tomorrow against South Sudan. I'm scratching my head at this line. South Sudan almost beat USA in the exhibition series. U.S. is 29.5-point favorites in that game tomorrow afternoon. Interesting. Very interesting. But if you want to bet that game, you can get it boosted. You can get a bonus on it at FanDuel, which is your ticket to summer fun. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Well, the Vikings signed veteran cornerback Bobby McCain. He's 30 years old. He played safety and slot corner. He played cornerback for a little bit of his career early, but he has crossed paths, and I think that's the key. Crossed paths with the Miami Dolphins with Brian Flores in 2019 and 2020. So he's a guy that you can come in. Flores can kind of say, hey, look, here's what I don't know if you remember, because, again, that was 4 years ago. So I know he's going to say, hey, do you remember when, So if he remembers a little bit of it, he can plug him in right away in the slot. So now that leaves his ability to have a slot corner. We know Byron Murphy can travel because Ryan Clark, ESPN analyst, came on our show, and he talked about the fact that Byron Murphy is a travel corner if you need him to be, whether Flores wants to do that with him or not. Now he has a guy in Bobby McCain, who I think Shaq Griffin was going to kind of do that slot stuff, but now you're going to have Bobby McCain doing it. One, if Shaq comes back, maybe his role is more outside corner just to stay healthy and not get hurt. And now you're bringing in a veteran guy who didn't do much. And Sam talked about didn't do much, or maybe we were on a camera, but we talked about it backstage. Didn't do much with the Giants, but over the past couple of years under Flores did well and played for the Dolphins for quite some time. And so I think the Vikings right now, they're in search. Like, it's money. How much money do we have? What is it worth to get some of these DBs on the street? Because we listed a ton of other options. Bobby McCain was not on my bingo board. I don't know if he was on yours. We listed other names we thought they should go get. Didn't get any of them. But we know it's about money, Sam. I don't know. What are your thoughts early on about this Bobby McCain addition? It's kind of new.
Yeah, this is probably a pretty low money acquisition. So they didn't want to spend too much. I guess it comes down to, how willing are you to kind of throw the New York year out the window, where he was with a new team, a new system? I don't know if injuries played into this, but he played 19 snaps all year. So he played a little bit in week 2, a little bit in week 10. Looks like he was on the bench. I'm willing to give it a try. And that's the beauty of training camp and preseason, is you can see whether he's got anything left in the tank. Sometimes, Ron, these cornerbacks fall off a cliff hard. They're good, they're bad. And you don't always know when it's going to happen. McCain actually turns 31 later in August, so he's an older corner. But I'm looking at the resume: 6 years Miami, 2 years Washington. It's pretty good. I mean, he's played 5,000, almost 6,000 snaps. 11 career interceptions, pretty good metrics as far as I can see. So 8 good years and then 1 clunker with a new team. I'd kick the tires on that. I'd see how it goes. Now, he's more of a Josh Metellus type, Ron. He's not really an outside corner. He's like a big nickel. He's like kind of the safety slot, big linebacker hybrid that Metellus can play. He can play in different spots. So if he can play some slot, then Murphy can play more on the outside. There's a trickle down effect there. But I like having him in camp. I mean, I think you needed a body, and you get someone who's a Flores guy who's had success in the league. I don't think it's the perfect solution, but he's not in his prime, but it's not a bad solution either.
Yeah, and so when you think about this addition, one, it kind of tells me they feel good about what they have. And that's up to Brian Flores to decide. I mean, he's the deciding factor. He's the DB coach, but he's also the defensive coordinator. So he feels good about what they have because he didn't feel like forced to go get some of the names we threw out there. Like he didn't feel like they needed to pay a ton of money for one of those guys. Getting a Bobby McCain, I think, also is a comfort thing. This is a guy that knows my system. This is a guy, like we know that this happened all the time in the league. Coaches go elsewhere. They go to a new team. And all of a sudden you start seeing guys get, free agent wise, get picked up that used to play for this coach because here's a guy that I can trust. Here's a guy that I know exactly what he's going to do. And so if it's between a guy I don't know and a guy I do know, I think that's what it becomes. It's like, well, I know this guy. I don't know what I'm going to get out of this other guy if we go pick up from, the Chargers or whoever it might be. Or I don't know this guy that we're going to go pick up from the Seahawks. I do know this guy played for the Dolphins. I do know what he's about. I do understand his system. He understands I understand how he works. He understands my system. And I know exactly where I want to put him. That's the other key because my guess is Brian Flores has an idea of what he needed for his DB room. And so when you're looking at free agent options and we're throwing out names that are names, like names of names, guys that we know, guys that have been good. That's what analysts do. You throw out the names that you know are the best. You don't throw out Bobby McCain because we don't know what Bobby McCain's going to be. We don't know. Now everybody's going to start researching them and start asking them questions and blah, blah. And I'm going to be out there today. So I'm going to maybe grab them quick and ask them a question, maybe see if we can get them on the show. But when you think about Bobby McCain, his goal or his role right now is just roll corner, like come in, play in the slot a little bit because we know Josh Metellus is going to be in the box a little bit more as they disclosed before. But come in and play corner for us and don't give up, do what I ask you to do. And I think he must be a guy that does what Brian Flores asked him to do because you don't bring in problems. Coaches don't go re-recruit problems. They go recruit guys that have done well for them and have listened to them and done exactly what they asked them to do. And so that's always the key with players too. Like no matter where a coach goes, where you go, always leave in like good terms because you never know when you're going to cross paths again. And so, the Dolphins sucked. We know that at one point. And then Brian Flores kind of turned it around. And then there was the whole colluding issue with the NFL and some other stuff. Or not collude, but whatever, asking them to lose games. And so when you look at that, Brian Flores actually turned that defense was really good. And so now it's like, well, who can I get from that team that I know can fit to what I'm doing here in Minnesota? And the answer is Bobby McCain. So we don't know much about him. We'll see what's going to happen with him. But I'm excited, to get some guys like Shaq Griffin. It sucks that Mekhi Blackman, he had a really decent rookie year. I think he was heading upwards. The crazy thing, though, and the guy that I'm worried about, and we can talk about this next week or maybe on the football party even or on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'll be out there today to see, like, a Caleb Evans is not in the spotlight anymore. Like he's not really getting a lot of the because last time his rookie year, Caleb Evans is good. He's long. Everybody's talking about him. You're not hearing much from him. And you keep constantly seeing it's never we're going to elevate a Caleb Evans. So I don't know if it's concussions. I don't know if it's hesitancy. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like he's kind of dropping down in the pecking order. I don't know.
Kind of fell out of favor with Flores last year, late in the season I think it was an effort thing. It seemed like he was hesitant to tackle and he got benched during the games. I think Flores got a little ticked at him, but sometimes when you're a young player, you go through that and you become better from it. So as long as he can up his game from last year where it was, I think effort wise, there was really good stuff on tape, but he's got to sustain it, right? He's got to be consistent.
Got it. Well, that'll do it for us on the first two segments. Coming up next, we are definitely going to hit on the daily three. People, it's 3 questions. We got time today, 3 minutes each. We got some good questions coming up, Sam. Put a bunch in the hopper. We got Gophers camp questions. We got Vikings camp questions. And of course, we got the Olympics. We are going to talk about the Olympics. So I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Extremo. And everybody, you know, today's episode, our partner, SiriusXM, just make sure you please download the SXM app. Just search SXM in the app market, and you'll get the SiriusXM app. All you have to do is have an email address or use your Apple or Google Play account. You'll have an account now, then go on and search Locked On Sports Minnesota, subscribe, and then you'll get all of our shows right there on your app. So that's where you can get our podcast. It's podcastable. Again, if you want to go to YouTube as well. Just use your email address there too, subscribe, and then you'll get all the updates using the YouTube app on your phone. But SiriusXM, you can get the Twins hometown broadcast. Twins are looking like they're winning some games now. But all you have to do is go in there, search Twins, and you can get their hometown broadcast as well. And then we know the Minnesota Vikings will be up before you know it. It will be a preseason game in no time. So make sure you get the SXM app. And we'll be back after a quick pause. Well, now it's time for the Daily Three. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
Let's talk about your Gophers, Ron. They started training camp as well on Monday, and yesterday was the exact 1-month mark away from the season opener against North Carolina at Huntington Bank Stadium. That's a great opener. So, Ron, in the next month, like, what is the biggest question you have about the Gophers that you need to see answered?
Quarterback. I want to see what Max Brosmer is going to be about. We definitely are going to get him on the show. I know he was heading into camp and his agent said he was locked in. So he wanted to take a couple of days, but he said, I definitely know who you are. He knows who you are. I noticed he must have told him because Max started following me on Instagram now. And so, I was going to send him a message just saying, good luck this season, blah, blah, looking forward to connecting with you because we're going to get him on the show. But he wants to be locked in right now. And then maybe we'll get him before North Carolina or maybe after North Carolina. I don't know. We'll talk and see which one is better. But the thing about them, that's the question mark. Quarterback. They've had a constant Tanner Morgan for years. And then everybody thought Ethan Kalik-Manis was going to be the guy. And it didn't seem to work out, whether it was play calling or the coaches or him, like who knows what. And now you get Max Brosmer. Now, this kid was really good in the FCS. He was up for the Heisman of the FCS. So he's one of the top quarterbacks coming out of, I think, Maine. And now he's in the Big Ten. So the question is, can it transfer? Can that same production transfer? Can he get production out? I mean, they did lose, what's his name, the big tight end. And they still have Daniel Jackson. They got Darius Taylor back. They added some other veteran running backs from the Big Ten and Eastern Michigan. But quarterback, that's always going to mean, because we know Ariante Ursary is going to be good. He's one of the top tackles in the country right now, so he's going to be protected. But can he make the throws? Can he be productive? Can he, because North Carolina lost Drake May. So I don't think North Carolina is going to be what we thought they were, because last year it was Drake May. He pushed that team to the brink of greatness. We will see what they look like without Drake May. I'm guessing, the receivers are still there. Defensive guys are still there, so they'll be okay. But I think the Gophers, with this running game, have a chance to control the game. And then I think Max Brosmer is going to only have to throw, 15, 20 times a game in some of these games when Darius Taylor's cooking in the running backs. Because you also have Jordan Newman, who was another kid that had a 100-yard game last year. So they have that running back room is heavy. So I don't know how much they're going to rely on the pass. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Gophers?
That is kind of my question is, are they going to open things up more with a quarterback who's used to throwing the ball more? Because with Kalik-Manis and with, the last couple quarterbacks, they have played a really conservative brand of football, and it frustrates some fans. And I think the quarterbacks had some limitations. Now with Brosmer, he can sling it. He's used to throwing a lot of footballs every game. So are they going to open up this offense more, or do they just stick with what they've always done, which is run block and pound the rock with Darius Taylor? I love all that they brought back. Like, if you look at their offense and defense for it being the transfer era, Ron, they've got an absurd amount of talent back on both sides of the ball. Offensive line, for the most part, the wide receivers, the running back, the linebackers, the defensive line, bunch of familiar faces back. So they've really got a lot of continuity. I think they're maybe a little bit of a sleeping giant if Brosmer is legit. You're right. Like, it all comes down to the quarterback position in football, and Brosmer is a wild card. We just don't know what's going to happen there. I hope they let him throw it. I hope that they open it up a little bit, but obviously that's PJ Fleck's call.
Right. Yeah. And you just don't know what you're going to get out of Max Brosmer. I mean, we want him to be great. Everybody talked about he's being great. People transfer from other schools all the time, and they're great at their previous school. And then they get to your school and you're like, oh, I thought this guy's going to be better. And so you just don't know. And sometimes guys are like bigger schools and then they drop down to a lower division 2-ish, still FBS, but lower division, not in the Power 5 is what they're calling it now. And so when you think about that, those guys go there and kill it like a guy like Strevler. Strevler was a Gopher, didn't get to play much, went to a smaller school, ends up, being in the NFL for a little bit, and then goes, he's now a quarterback over in Canada. And so I don't think if he did not transfer, never gets that opportunity. By going to a school that allowed him to play the way he needed to play, so can we say he was better than Tanner Morgan? Can we say he was better than Mitch Leitner? I think that's what it was at the time. Yeah, you probably can say that. Like, he ended up being a better pro, but sometimes it takes guys time, and coaches have to deal and live with what they have at that time. And he even admitted it, though. He's like, I wasn't ready at the time. I wasn't as good as I am now. Some guys are late bloomers, and that's what they forget. Some dudes don't hit their full strength stride until they're in their 20s, and that happens. Some guys are man children, and they, like Derrick Henry, they come out of 8th grade looking like a grown man. And Leonard Fournette, like, we remember Leonard Fournette walking into LSU as a freshman. You're like, what? Like, this dude is 30. And so that's what you get out of some guys. Some guys are late bloomers. So we'll see what the Vikings do with this running. I think they're going to run the ball, though. I think they're going to do a lot of window dressing stuff. But I think ultimately you don't promise Darius Taylor, and he doesn't not go to like Michigan. He's from Detroit, one of the best backs in the country. He could easily have went to Michigan for an NIL bag. And so you don't do that unless you're like, look, man, we're going to get you in the league. Just trust us. Like, we will get you the ball just like they got Blake Corum the ball. I think they're going to run the crap out the ball, but they're going to do some window dressing. And then if you load the box, I think Max Brosmer, difference in him and Ethan Kalikmanis, he's older. He's probably smart enough to know how to check out of something and get to a pass. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference in the offense this year. Is you can always say, like, maybe the quarterback wasn't good enough to get him to do what they wanted to do. But we got another question. So what's the next one?
Let's talk kicker battle. The Vikings cut John Parker Romo, their backup kicker, yesterday. They give the job to the draft pick, Will Reichard. Ron, would you have liked them to hold a little more of a real competition, or are you okay just giving it to the rookie?
Well, I mean, he made big kicks in college. I think from a mental standpoint, I trust what the coaches are doing. Sometimes a kicking battle can make one kicker feel a little uncomfortable about where he's at. It's also tough if all of a sudden John Parker Romo is killing it and the rookie's struggling, and you still cut the veteran. And then people are like, well, why would you cut that guy? And this guy's killing it. So I think that also alleviates any potential weirdness at preseason games. You're going to give all the reps to Will. You don't have to split reps in the game. I think that's the other thing, is going to these preseason games as a rookie. You want him to get as comfortable as possible because he's going to be your kicker. So I totally agree with that. He can now walk around like the veteran star kicker. Now, again, you can get cut if you ain't good. Like, don't act like because they cut one guy, you're set. Because I've seen that where, I'm not going to wish injury, but anything can happen. Because I know I've been there where when the Bears cut 2 receivers and they kept me, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. And then, of course, I got hurt in the first game. And so then I'm like, all right, well, yep, this is not what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, never in the NFL think your job is secure. But I think the goal is to give that rookie a chance to kind of breathe. Yep, you're the kicker now. Go out here and kick, work like you need to work. We need to get this first preseason game and joint practices. I need you to be booming the ball, and they want to see what they have in this kid.
I agree with you word for word of what you said. You just have to remove the chance for things to get uncomfortable, because obviously you're going to prioritize your draft pick. You sunk a 6th-round pick into him. You'd like to, fill him with confidence and not set up a situation where, you're compelled to have to cut him when you don't really want to. So yeah, just take all that out of play and let him get all the work, get the battery down, the snapper, the holder, the kicker, let them work together now for the next 6 weeks before the regular season. Last one, Ron, I'm going to give it plenty of room. Let's talk about Olympics. What is the best Olympic coverage that you've watched? I have been watching all of it. Like, I love the new feature they have, the Gold Zone on Peacock, where they just whip around from event to event, just like Red Zone for the NFL. It's great. Like, before I jumped on the show this morning, I think I watched fencing, I watched tennis, I watched rugby, I watched basketball, fencing. Did I say fencing? I saw like 6 different sports in an hour. It was great. What have you been watching?
So, of course, my wife was a gymnast in high school and then also track in college and the Olympics. So we've been watching a ton of gymnastics. Now we have watched some swimming because it comes up. We've actually watched a little water polo as well. I love like Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav being at all the stuff. And then, they're showing different stars, Venus and Serena down there. Watched a little Coco golf. And so, yeah, we've kind of done the same thing. Like, I want to see the breakdancing. I haven't seen it yet just because it's new. And so I just want to see like, what is this? What countries are killing in breakdancing? Because I do know when you look at like those shows, like I think you can dance or whatever and all that stuff, you get a lot of different cultures, Puerto Ricans, you get Asians, like you get people from all over that break dance and do different styles of dance that all come back to hip hop breakdancing. And so I'm really interested to see like how the Americans, because the Americans created it. Like, you think about B-Boys and Run DMC and way back when in the 70s and 80s, they created breakdancing, and then it kind of became a global sensation because the World Wide Web. And everybody's like, oh, what is this? Who is this rapper? Who is this? Like, what is this? What is a B-Boy? And now it's an Olympic sport. I don't think we ever thought. The other thing I like, which is funny, and I don't know if you've seen this, like they've done some Snoop Dogg breaking down Olympic sports. Like he kind of like that. Like he kind of announces them. Like he was doing what was it? Not table tennis, but he was doing the thing with the birdie, badminton. And he was breaking down badminton, and it's hilarious because he has nothing to say, but oh man, you see that? That was crazy. Bend down, big up, big down, get up, get down. Like so he's just super excited. But watching the gymnast, because he was there at the gymnastics meet with Jordan Child's family, and he's dancing and celebrating with them. Because for those that don't know, Jordan Childs, she dances, she does like TikTok dances and all these different dances in the middle of events, because it keeps her nerves down, because she's not thinking about the Olympics. She's thinking about just having fun and being a kid. And I actually like that, because it's a mental thing for her to say, I don't want to think about what I'm doing next. I'm just going to dance and have fun. So she's over there doing like TikTok dances in the middle of the floor. And then all of a sudden you see Simone Biles start doing it. They're all looking over at somebody, and then the camera pans over, and this Snoop Dogg, he's up there dancing with Jordan Child's family too. So it's cool to hear some of these stories. Because we've heard the stories about Simone Biles walking out and getting the whatever she called it, the turnsies or whatever, where she didn't know if what up was down and down was up. And I get it now, because she's jumping. I don't know if you saw that. She jumped 12 feet high in the air. And so they put a picture of Wemby on like the gymnastic mat, and then they showed her flip and how high she was over the top of Wemby. I'm like,
that's great.
That's nuts to even think about that. Like, she was over the basketball rim. Like, I'm like, that's high. I mean, the goal is only 10 feet. So she was 2 feet higher than the basketball rim, which she's like up on the top of the backboard. But she did like a whatever, her little thing. She named it after her, but she was 12 feet in the air from the floor. And so it was kind of cool to see like Wemby and then her. And so somebody was like, oh, they should put Wemby in there and just have her jump over him. And I'm like, if she does that, like live, like that would for sure be entertainment to see her be able to get off the floor that high. But that's what I've been watching. It's been kind of cool. And then I watched a little cycling as well, just because it was up. But my wife's been more dialed into me, to be honest. She's DVR'd everything she wants to watch, and then when it's on, she's watching it. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, all of it, man. I love it. I've got the swimming itch. Like, actually, that's a real condition. I don't have swimmer's itch. I have the itch to watch swimming. I love swimming. The gymnastics yesterday was great, with the men's team winning the bronze, and today we got the women's all-around final. I have a hard time following gymnastics sometimes, just because I don't know if what they're doing is like really hard for them, or if it's like low difficulty, and the scoring confuses me a little bit. It's amazing. I like watching him flip through the air, though. That's incredible. I think like it's you mentioned breakdancing. Gymnastics kind of is breakdancing too, like the pommel horse. That's breakdancing. The floor exercise when they get down and on their hands, that's breakdancing. They're already doing it, but now I guess we're going to see it in a different arena.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I don't know if you saw, they have skateboarding. Skateboarding is now an Olympic event. So they're just throwing everything out there. I think, didn't somebody say flag football was coming?
It's coming. LA next Olympics, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I wonder how they handle that. Like, do you go out and get like Patrick Mahomes and say, dude, you're gonna play flag football for the Olympics? But see, and you know, and I wouldn't do Mahomes because you got to have a runner. Like I guess he can run a little bit, but I would do like Jalen Hurts or even Caleb. Like you got to have somebody fast. Like you almost want to have like Michael Vick from back in the day. Like I know he would be a ridiculous flag football player with his speed and his arm. But yeah, I mean, you got to go get the fastest receiver. You got to get Tyreek Hill. You got to get Justin Jefferson. You got to get, DB wide. Like I don't know what the rules are with the NFL, and I don't want our guys getting hurt because we know these other flag football players from other countries are going to be super serious. But I mean, if the NBA players are playing in the Olympics, why not have the NFL players go play flag football? Now, the one thing I will say, it is summer. And if it's a summer Olympics, then that is usually during training camp. So I don't know how many teams are willing to release their stars to go play for their country. But that would be cool to see, like Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, with Jalen Hurts at quarterback going out to play against, or what's his name, Justin Herbert going out to play against, China and watching them try to guard, Tyreek Hill. Like it's like you have no chance. Like the NFL players can't do it. So what do you think these flag football guys are going to do? So it would be, who would actually have a good flag football team though is Canada. Like, because all those players could play for the Canadian Olympic team because they are they have a work visa, similar to Joel Embiid, like he has dual citizenship. So that would actually be like Canada and flag football versus US probably would be two of the top. And I guess Germany has some US football now because of the old NFL stuff. But that'll do it for us today on the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please make sure you download the Locked On Sports app on YouTube. Sorry, the YouTube app, and then search Locked On Sports. You can get our live stream 24/7 of all your favorite Minnesota sports shows around the clock. It's Vikings, Wild Wolves, Twins, Gophers at all hours of the day. I want to thank you guys and have a great week.